Welcome back to another episode of The Radio Psychs, your premier podcast for insights into everything mental health. I'm Dr. Aaron Haddock.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Yu. We're psychologists who care about people and bringing science to practice.
And we're so glad to have you join us.
Please note that the information shared in this episode is solely intended for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical or mental health advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Today's topic is water and your mental health.
In this episode, we're turning our attention to something that is as essential as the air we breathe, water, and its connection to our mental health.
What an important topic. To some people, talking about water might sound mundane, but it really isn't.
That's right. Many of us have learned from school or heard from somewhere that we're mostly made of water, and we are. So it may not be a surprise to many of you when I tell you that the brain is predominantly water, and that it's highly sensitive to changes in hydration levels. Research links insufficient intake of water with alterations in mood and cognitive performance.
Yeah, when we don't get enough water, the brain's volume decreases, affecting its overall function. There are brain imaging studies that show even a mild case of dehydration, meaning a 1 to 2% loss of body water, can lead to changes in brain activity and negatively impact how we feel and perform.
You really don't need a severe case of dehydration to see a significant impact on your mental state, do you?
According to the research literature, no, you really don't.
It's like the brain is trying to navigate a complex maze with fewer resources when it's dehydrated.
Well, with fewer resources, we tend to perceive tasks as being more difficult, don't we? Imagine tackling a task and suddenly it feels like the difficulty level's been cranked up. The water-deprived brain signals that the path ahead might be more challenging than it actually is.
So even things we normally wouldn't find difficult to do, we can reach a point where we see them as requiring much more effort. This perception can be a significant factor in shaping our cognitive experience. When tasks seem more challenging, it can impact our motivation and overall approach to problem solving.
Researchers have suggested that when the body is in a state of dehydration, there's a decrease in neurotransmission in the brainstem monoaminergic systems that play a role in our regulation of attention, motivation, and fatigue. Meaning lack of sufficient hydration can negatively affect your focus, drive, and even feelings of tiredness.
There's also evidence that shows dehydration can negatively impact our working and short-term memory.
And it's not hard to reach a state of mild dehydration, is it?
There are a number of factors that can influence the rate of fluid loss, such as age, health, climate, and activity level. But generally speaking, it really isn't hard to reach a state of mild dehydration. Even in a controlled indoor environment with comfortable temperatures, it might only take several hours without water to get there. Rondi, what about the connection between hydration and mood?
Right. Well, beyond the cognitive hiccups, we do see an impact on mood. The brain relies on proper hydration for the synthesis and transport of neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine, which are key players in mood regulation. And studies suggest that dehydration can affect mood, especially when performing tasks requiring sustained attention.
There was a big cross-sectional study published in 2018 where researchers found a significant link between plain water intake and depression. Lower daily intake was associated with significant increased risk of depression.
That makes sense to me. I drink a lot of water and coffee, which is about 98% water. And when I don't get my regular intake, I'm not happy.
So, Ronnie, is that a lack of water issue or a not enough caffeine issue?
It's probably, I'd say it's a combination.
I get it. So, you say you drink a lot of water. How much water is that? Or let me ask this question. How much water should we be drinking to keep our brains working at their best and for our mental health?
There are some general guidelines we can look to for this. For example, the National Academy of Medicine suggests that we take in about 3.7 liters or 125 ounces for men and 2.7 liters or 91 ounces for women every day. And this includes water from the foods we eat and fluids we drink.
So if we follow these recommendations, and assuming we're getting about 20% of our water from food, which is the typical estimate, that would mean we'd want about 100 ounces for men and 73 ounces for women every day. And for optimal hydration, spread it out over the course of the day.
Right. We definitely want to spread it out. But here's something we need to add. These recommendations for the total amount you need each day are not set in stone. They can't be because how much we need depends on multiple factors, including the ones you mentioned earlier: age, health, what the weather is like, how active we are, and because there's water in our food, what we eat, right?
Also, whether or not a person is pregnant or breastfeeding. There's a lot to factor in. So, in addition to looking at general recommendations, we really need to listen to our bodies, don't we?
There's something to that because our bodies are designed to send thirst signals when it's depleted of fluids. And there are certainly people out there that argue that listening to your body and noticing when it tells you it's thirsty is the best way to determine how much you need. But the problem is, our bodies don't always do a good job of telling us how much we need.
Ah, good point. As we get older, our body's ability to regulate fluid intake and thirst worsens. Research has also shown that very young children, people with certain health conditions, and athletes may also have difficulty sensing when they're depleted and need to take in more fluids.
Ever see a kid run around, say no to an offer of a drink, and then keep running until he collapses onto the ground? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely, definitely. So the guidelines are good. What's recommended is sufficient for most people, and adjustments can be made based on our unique individual needs.
I'd agree with that. Aaron, what if we overdo it and drink more water than we need?
Yeah, so there's a condition known as water intoxication or hyponatremia, where the balance of electrolytes in the body are disrupted. This can result in the swelling of cells, interfere with the normal functioning of the brain, nausea, vomiting, and in extreme cases, even death.
Psychogenic polydipsia, a term for compulsive water drinking that can lead to intoxication, has also been observed to be increasingly common in psychiatric populations. But in general, intoxication is rare. Under everyday circumstances, it's more common for people not to drink enough water rather than drinking too much.
That's right. And if you're consuming a little more than your body needs, typically there's no issue. Kidneys are pretty efficient, removing about a liter per hour.
So again, spread it out.
Exactly. Drink water throughout the day. I personally try to average about 8 ounces per hour from morning until dinner time. And after that, I continue to hydrate, but cut it back a bit, around 4 to 5 ounces per hour until I go to bed at night.
And it doesn't have to be exact, does it?
No, it doesn't. Sometimes I drink more, sometimes less, and at different times, but I spread it out. And I try to be consistent with the total amount of water I drink each day.
There you have it, folks. Aaron's water drinking schedule. And that's a wrap. Thank you for diving into the topic of water and mental health with us.
Until next time, stay quenched and thoughtful.
Take care and be well, everybody.
Take care and be well.